Hello, everyone. Welcome to the March energy forecast. I am so excited to dive into this month's energy. I know that January and February have been a lot, right? It's true. Like, if you've been feeling that there's been an intensity of energy, you're not wrong, right? There is a lot of intensity going on. And I wish I could say that everything was all of a sudden going to be completely different, but it does not feel that way to me. And I want to go into a little bit what we can expect, what's coming up, how we can navigate it, and why we're being put through the challenges that we're being put through, right? There is this very strong, intense energy right now of forging, of being forged, right? I've used the example so many times of like what is being birthed and having it feel like you're, I don't know, halfway through the birthing process and you don't know how long things are going to take. You don't know how much longer the process is going to take. And that's the thing when you birth something, it's like you don't know how long. And if you had a sense of like, oh, it's this many days, this many hours, this many years, whatever, you could navigate that. But the question is, if you don't know the answer to that, how do you handle it? Can you sit with the process either way? And I'm really excited to kind of share what's coming up for March because March is a two energy month, right? Two is so much about connection and collaboration and coming together and partnership. And this is a really critical energy for us to be navigating right now because it's a really big part of the abundance activation that we're going to be going through in 2024. Okay. So 2024, two twos and a four, right? That's what makes up eight. March is a two energy month. So this two is important. And what does that tell us? It tells us that it's so important to stay connected with number one, your own intuition. What is your intuition telling you? What is your inner guidance system telling you? How do you cultivate that relationship with yourself? Oh my gosh, I'm seeing you guys pop in. This is so wonderful. Make sure you tag your friends so they can come and be here too. And feel free to comment and say hi and let me know you're here. Ask any questions as we go along. So, the two, right? The two is all about, am I in relationship with my own intuition? And the question I want to pose to you is, how do you grow that relationship? What are the practices, the habits, the rituals that you do, right? For some people, you might have a divination practice like numerology, right? Where you tap into the energy on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. You might look at charts, things like that. For others, you might pull cards, you might meditate, you might journal, whatever that is. For you, take time to connect in with your intuition and develop and strengthen that relationship. The most important thing you can do this month. And it's so important because it's setting you up for the foundation of the abundance cycle that we're in right now. This is a foundational component, right? I'm going to get more into why in a minute. The other piece that's so critical is the concept of partnership and collaboration. Okay. One of the reasons that we're experiencing some crunchy feelings lately is we are moving through and closing out some old cycles and old patterns. And one of the ones that we're moving through is this concept of like a hierarchy or a ladder where some people are at the top and some people are at the bottom, and there's only so much room for people to succeed and win, right? And this has been this like scarcity based system that we've been dealing with for forever. And right now, there is so many people actively working to shift and change that. And likely you are too, if you're here with me today. And what that means is we need to open the door for connection and collaboration. We need to open the door for systems where everyone gets to thrive. Everyone gets to succeed. That when you get to share your genius and I get to share my genius, we are all better off for it. And that requires connection and collaboration. For collaboration to be effective, it's important that we understand this is me, right? I am not the jack of all trades. I am not meant to be good at everything. I'm meant to thrive and excel in my puzzle piece. in my unique zone of genius. Because when I thrive over here and you thrive over here, then we come together and we make this beautiful picture together, this beautiful, like, mosaic collaborative puzzle together, because we're each operating within our zone of genius, right? It's so powerful. That concept of like letting yourself excel in your zone of genius is what makes this idea of collaborative wealth work, right? Of an abundance-based economy work. It's what makes it so that we're not threatened to see someone else's success, because their success doesn't detract from ours, right? My success doesn't detract from yours if we're operating in our zones of genius. This is the powerful thing about it. So that's a couple of the key aspects that are coming through with the March energy. There's a few really important karmic shifts happening this month as well. And that's why I don't think that it's instantly going to be easier. But I will tell you how to activate more ease. Number one, community, right? You must find community where you are not alone. Like, no more isolations, no more trying to figure this out by yourself. You're not meant to, right? That's an old paradigm model. You're meant to work with others. You're meant to find a place where you feel like you fit, you feel like you belong. You're meant to be able to fully express and be heard and seen and understood for your truest self, and do the same for others, right? So there's some karmic shifts that are going to happen to open the doorway to that, right? But what we're also going to notice then is the crunchy bits of that reconfiguration. What that means is some of the old relationships that cannot sustain that level of collaboration, they might crumble, right? They might get crunchy and difficult. And it's not for us to judge that. It's not for us to decide they're right and, who's right and who's wrong and what should or shouldn't happen. The only thing that is your job is to go within and listen to your intuition, to thrive in your genius. That is your responsibility, right? How other people perceive or judge or experience you in that's their responsibility, right? It's not yours. And I hear so many situations of people attempting to, like, modify themselves or tiptoe or contort or pretzel themselves, even in subtle ways, to like make others okay. This is not the answer. In fact, this is actually going to prolong your discomfort, right? And of course, I'm not saying like go out there and trample on others. There's like a ground here of like honor, reverence, respect, and sacredness for other people's energy and their responsibility, and honor, sacred reverence for mine. We can agree to disagree. That's totally fine. But I don't get to cross my lines and you don't need to cross my lines, right? Like, there's this like beautiful relationship level of honoring and respect that's so foundational to collaborative wealth, to effective partnership. And so knowing that, like I mentioned, the ones that cannot abide by these shifts, if you're choosing to make them in your life, hard, easy, whatever it is, they may crumble, and that might be uncomfortable. So you're going to notice a couple of patterns of loss. In fact, it's very interesting. I'm sharing this with you on the leap year. I'm recording this on the leap year, the leap day of the leap year. What do you even call it? February 29th. And the patterns that we have on February 29th are the same as the patterns that we have on March 1st. And we've got this interesting combination of 9 and 3 energy. And so there's going to be an amplification of loss endings and grief, of discomfort, of having to let go, of having to transmute, right? It's clearing out the clutter. It's cleaning out those corners. It's detoxing unhealthy patterns, unhealthy experiences, so that, right? And it's important to keep in mind so that, because oftentimes when we're in it, right? When you're in it, like if you've ever done a physical detox, like a body detox, in it, you feel like hell, right? But you do it because you know you're going to feel amazing when you're done. And that's the same concept of like, it's okay to be present in it. It's okay for it to be uncomfortable. It's okay to be aware. Don't try to like deny, ignore, rush it. Just allow it. Just accept it. Knowing that soon we're going to be entering a new cycle. Soon things will shift. Yay, I love that I've got a bunch of you guys here with me live. This is amazing. Pop in the chat and let me know what's landing, what's resonating, what's hitting for you. I want to know if you guys are picking up on the same things I'm picking up on, and just seeing how it's going to unfold, right? All right, so the next piece I really want to bring to mind is some of these karmic changes that we're going to be experiencing this month. They're coming about to open up your gifts even more. Okay, so it's an important affirmation to recognize that if something wants to fall away in my life or something's not a fit in my life anymore, it's leaving to help open up some of my gifts even more, right? Helping you to understand more about who you are and what you're meant to share, your intuitive gifts and your relationship with your spirit guides, source, whatever that might be, right? And if you're not sure what it is, then I encourage you to just dip in and ask, what have I been asking for? What have I been desiring? What have I been exploring? Those things can open up when you honor the patterns of release that are kind of happening at the very start of March, right? Yeah. What's not resonating is more grief and loss. I hear you. I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I feel like I've done this. But I don't know. I don't feel it's going to be long lasting, but I feel like it might be, a little bit for the first few days, week-ish of the month. But if that's not something you're noticing or you're experiencing in your life, then that's great. That meant you did the clear out you needed to do back in January and February, and you're good. Some of us might have some clearing out to do still. And you might know what that is. And if you don't know, just do some journaling and ask, right? Not all of us will have to, right? I'm so done with it. I experienced this yesterday. I felt it. Yeah, it's time to move on. Absolutely. I totally agree. And the reason why I think it's really important is because remembering that as we're in the two, this is about connection and collaboration. If I am carrying residual energy that doesn't belong with me into my connections and collaborations, that means that I will be amplifying that in the next cycle. So let's just let the cycle be what the cycle is, knowing that as we're moving forward, what we're wanting to amplify. So as you're moving into this intuition expansion and collaboration expansion, knowing that what you're going into it with, you will be amplifying it down the road, right? So it's like just being mindful. Okay, there's some interesting doubles showing up as well on March 4th. And maybe this is the date that we're kind of going to be aiming towards. This is the date I'm going to claim, you guys. Okay, I'm claiming this as the day that we can start to shift out of some of these lost patterns is going to be March the 4th because we have a double karma day. And karma is, a lot of people have different ideas of what karma is. My understanding of karma is if the energy has swung in one direction or the other, there needs to be a rebalancing. There needs to be a pendulum shift. There needs to be a reharmonization. So, how do we navigate that? Is we find our home. We find where our home base is. We find our heart center. We honor love, nurturance, beauty, peace, ease. Like you go where you feel safe and cozy, right? Remembering that that karmic cycle is the sixth energy, and sixth energy is the karmic adjustment. So it could be within this lifetime of like, hey, I've been way over here for a long time. It's time to find some balance in that. Or karmic adjustment from past lives can also occur, right? But seek out the love, the nurturing, the balance, like be in your home, wherever home is, right? Home is your heart. So connecting with loved ones, cozying up with a blanket and a good book and a cup of tea, whatever makes you feel that nurtured, like served, cocooned, cozy vibe is going to really help you integrate on the 4th of March, okay, with the sixth energy that's coming through. And then as we move through the week, there's a couple of days I want to bring to mind. The 8th of March is a new manifestation cycle beginning, highlighting partnership, highlighting connection that's going to be related to your spiritual purpose, your life purpose, your sense of fulfillment. And if you don't know what your spiritual purpose is, don't think about that word because that can be daunting. Think about instead what gives you meaning, what gives you fulfillment, what makes you feel like you belong and you have a sense of contribution that's meaningful to you. So you're starting a new manifestation cycle on the 8th of March. So what are those action steps you can do that create that for you? What is the thing that gives you a sense of fulfillment and meaning? Do it on March 8th. Highlight that energy, activate that energy. It will be super supportive. As we move on to March 10th, it's a full moon, or sorry, not a full moon, a new moon on March 10th. And this is another abundance activation portal. We have a lot of those this year, you guys. We have a lot of abundance activation portals in 2024. And it is an abundance year, right? The 8 energy is an abundance year. So it makes sense that we have a lot of these portals. This portal is for financial leadership as well as creative expansion. Okay. So much of our relationship with money and finance and wealth and income, like our relationship with dollars, is going to take a bit of a creative overhaul, right? So how you've related with money in the past wants to shift. It wants to adjust. It wants to be more holistic. It wants you to incorporate the physical, the mental, the emotional, the spiritual. It wants you to take a more holistic approach rather than making money the be all end all. Asking yourself, what makes me feel wealthy and rich? What makes me feel prosperous? And not neglecting the finances in the process, right? Letting all of those be together. One of my favorite exercises to do, and I think this would be a great day to do this, is what I call values-based budgeting, where you look at your values, right? So it might be things like, my spiritual connection, my family, freedom, whatever that is. And you look at, how am I spending my money? So you look at your credit card statement, you look at your debit card statement, whatever that is, and you check, this money went out. Which value is it honoring? This money went out. Which value is it honoring? And you make sure that you're investing with your dollars in the things that you truly value, because on the 10th of the month, you have the opportunity to grow and expand what's important to you, what's speaking to your heart, right? So important. Okay, from there, the new type of abundance that wants to be activated and created with you is more balanced. So if much of our financial system has been solidly, anchored in with masculine energy, which is very directive, very action oriented, very striving, accomplishing, achieving, and that's great. That's needed. However, not at the expense of the feminine, which is more around, how do I feel? What is my current experience? What is my connections like? What is my home like? Where are my emotions at? Where's my creativity and my intuition at? So on the 11th of the month, it's like, where can I integrate these two? Where can I bring some harmony in with, yeah, I want to create and strive and be goal oriented. Absolutely. But why am I doing that? I'm doing that because I want to feel a certain way. I'm doing that because I want to live a certain quality of life, or I want to have certain types of relationships. I want to be close with my children. I want to feel a certain way with my friends. I want to engage in certain hobbies and pastimes, right? Allowing both of those to be well integrated, going from the 11th on is going to be super important. We have another double energy day on the 15th. We have this double 8. Well, it's kind of like a triple 8 because it's the 8 energy year as well, right? So this energy is, you know, riding that wave of the integrations that you've been working on, right? It's going to be growing and expanding, and this level of like devotional mastery and responsibility around the life you're choosing to create, with abundance, with wealth, with finance, and feeling like, where are those pieces coming from and how am I investing into them? One of the things that the 8 speaks to me so loudly is this idea of the divine law of compensation. And it's this idea of the infinity sign as it flows between me and you, right? So it's like energy coming out of me, moving into the field, you're receiving, you receive it, it goes through you and then back into the field. And it creates this beautiful energy flow with the infinity sign, this reciprocal energy flow. The book I highly recommend to read to understand this concept would be The Divine Law of Compensation by Marianne Williamson, one of my favorite books. And it's understanding like what is my contribution? And how do I feel about it? Am I contributing from my heart and my soul in a way that's meaningful to me, that means something to me, that's aligned with my values, that's here, that's impacting in a way I truly desire? Like, am I giving in the way that I want my life to look? Asking yourself those questions around the 15th of the month, because you've got this double, triple, eight energy of asking you, like, where is your responsibility to your level of mastery, your level of devotion, your level of commitment around abundance, right? What is it? Yeah. Oh my gosh, Rosalie, I love it. You are just parked behind the 888 just 10 minutes ago. And now we're talking about triple eights. It's so good. On the 17th of the month, there's also going to be this karmic money activation energy. And so on the 17th, if you have some unhealthy money beliefs or patterns, some money trauma, there's going to be opportunities to heal that. Right. And it's interesting because as soon as you start to kind of like personify money a little bit, you can see how some of your relational patterns, childhood wounds, play out in your relationship with money, right? So if you've had any type of attachment issues, whether it's anxious attachment or avoidant attachment, or you have abandonment wounds or whatever it is, asking yourself, like, how is it playing out in my relationship with money? And how can I choose a healthy, secure attachment with money? How can I be balanced and regulated with money? How do I create harmony and regulation and balance with money? Right? Do I need to sit with money more? Do I need to give money more quality time? Do I need to invest in my money more? Do I need to bring in resources like, you know, an accountant or a financial planner or, whatever. I don't know. You'll know the answer to that. But just starting to think about money as an energetic being and asking yourself, where do some of my childhood wounding patterns play out in my relational dynamic with money? You have relational dynamics with your parents, with friends, with your significant others and your children. And you might notice that some of those relational dynamics are like a copy and paste right onto money. And so it's like, okay, money, let's sit down together and let's like talk about this a little bit, right? So absolutely, on the 17th of the month, Anne-Marie, is this karmic flow of money wants to be revisited, re-examined, those relational patterns. So let's see, what's the next date I want to pull in there? Starting around the 23rd and 24th of March, our mindset's going to come into play again. Okay, we've talked a lot about mindset on and off. Obviously, it's a huge component, right? The things you think about, the things you believe. I always like to think about Joe Dispenza's work when I think about this, because it's like I have a thought, okay, which is the mindset, and then my emotions will charge that thought and turn that into a magnet. So when I think of money, when I think of abundance, when I think of whatever, emotions are going to follow real quick, right? And so you might want to play with the idea of writing down some statements of like money is, right? Money is fill in the blank, and write down what comes to mind for you, good and bad, right? You might also think to yourself, like, when I'm stressed, this is how money responds. When I'm happy, this is how money responds. When when these circumstances are unfolding in my life, this is how money and I interact, right? Money and I are at our best when X, Y, and Z is true. Money and I are at our worst when ABC is true. And start to really uncover some of those pieces, because whatever the mindset is, the emotion that will follow will create a magnet, right? So if I say to myself, like, oh yeah, whenever I get stressed out, money's a struggle. And then I say that statement, and then I instantly charge it with this feeling of like, oh, struggle, like, oh, tricky, oh, hard. Now I've created that magnetism in my body, right? And I'm not saying we should lie to ourselves. Like, if that feels true to me, that feels true to me. But what I can say is, I wonder if I'm open to considering a different response. I wonder if money and I could choose to have a different relationship. I wonder if when I'm stressed, money and I could choose to sit down and have a conversation. I wonder if I can find a way to regulate myself so that when I feel stressed, money and I can actually sit face to face, heart to heart, and connect to heal some of those activation states. I wonder if there's another pathway available to me. And you might bring in some EFT tapping, you might bring in some energy work here, but just knowing that you have the power to rewrite some of those patterns through awareness, through questioning, right? A lot of it comes down to those questions. Those are my favorite, rather than saying, like, oh yeah, me and money are great. It's like my inner voice is like, bullshit. I don't believe you. Whereas it's like, no, like money and I, like we're working on it. Money and I, like we're creating something new here. Money and I, like we may have a ways to go, but we have options. And I'm willing, and I'm sitting with money, and we're going to work on this. And it's like, yeah, just like if it was a human, you wouldn't expect to transform your relationship overnight. You would expect that it would require some hard conversations, some regulation, some heart to heart, and let's see what happens, right? If the concepts that I'm sharing right now freak you right out, then I totally invite you to connect with someone who can support you. If you're feeling called to reach out to me, please do. Let's have a conversation in the DMs. And maybe there'll be a pathway that I might be able to support you, whether it's through providing a numerology reading for you, whether it's providing some money coaching for you, whether it's inviting you into one of my trainings and programs so that you feel like you can feel safe to express yourself. Because if it's holding you back, guaranteed it's holding back your expression as well. This is one of the things we do in the magical magnetic content. Yes, magical magnetic content is about creating content, right? So whether it's emails, social posts, or whatever, but it's also about expression and unleashing your expression. And if you're held back, constricted, and holding your breath because of these unhealthy patterns, you don't have full expression. Your magnet is not being charged in the way you truly desire. So send me a DM, join my membership. Let's have a conversation so that you can unleash some like gentleness and openness and ease around some of these dynamics. Let's see. Where do I want to go to next? Abundance mindset. Ooh, yes, this is where I want to go to next. On the 25th, we have a full moon. This full moon, I'm super excited about, you guys, because this is all about the rules are being rewritten by the people who do the things. Okay. So the action takers are rewriting the rules. This is going to be so important on that full moon of the 25th, right? Be willing to take messy and imperfect action. Be willing to feel what you feel in your intuition, in your heart, in your soul, and take messy and imperfect action, because it is through your action taking that you get to rewrite the rules. This is so important. So if you think to yourself, this is the experience I desire, this is the relationship with money I want, this is the relationship with my intuition, my business, whatever, right? Then ask yourself, what's the next step? What is the next step to activating it? And just do it. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to get it right. It can be messy. It can be ugly. But learning to trust that intuition, like, okay, if we honestly would turn this into a drinking game, every time I said trust your intuition, you guys had to take a shot. Everyone would be tipsy right now, right? So recognizing that this is a theme. This is a theme. And so finding the ways that you can activate your intuition and your self-trust. This is why I come back to numerology over and over and over again. As you guys know, the doors to practical numerology are open right now because I do not know of a better system that helps you understand the patterns that are happening, make sense of them, and strengthen your intuitive knowing through this very direct and clear pathway, right? It just is so obvious and straightforward to me, right? Which is how I'll share it with you. You will get that sense of, let me tap into the numbers, feel what's happening, and then invite in that clarity of what are my next steps, right? That is my goal through practical numerology, is that you develop that level of self-trust. All right. As we continue going forward after the 25th, It's going to be so much about communication. Okay. Communication with people in your life, with your loved ones, with colleagues, with clients. If you have ideas and thoughts and creative projects that you're working on, talk about it, share it. We want to know, we want to hear what's happening. Talk it into life, speak it into existence. I cannot express how important it is. I cannot express how important it is to be fully expressed. Speak the things, say the things, right? Let yourself say the things. I love it. It's so important. And if this is something that you have a mixed relationship with, right? A lot of us have these ideas and these plans, and we want to share and to be of service and to connect in this way. And then we hesitate and we don't know how, and we're not sure what to say, and we don't know where to start, and we feel uncomfortable saying what's in our hearts and minds to say, or we're not sure how to translate that into content or social media or email or conversation or proposals or projects or plans or courses or trainings. And this is where I would love to support you with the Magical Magnetic Content Membership. It is my most affordable offering. It's only $27 a month. You can join or quit or cancel or rejoin as much as you want. It's a free and easy open space in that when you want support to express, that's there for you, right? When you want support to tap into the energy of what's going on for you, first off, absolutely. And then for your clients. Because here's the thing I really want you to understand. When you feel a thing that needs to be shared, the reason you feel that is because somebody else needs to hear it, right? So your willingness to get it out, messy, imperfect, beautiful, whatever that looks like, is medicine to someone else. It's medicine to someone else. Someone else needs to hear that. Your expression, your words, your images, whatever it is that you have to share will make a huge difference in someone's life. It will serve them, it will heal them, it will help them overcome a challenge, help them get out of a rut, help them activate growth, activate abundance, activate expansion, activate heart healing, whatever it is, right? In order for them to have that, you need to be willing to say it, right? And this is where I really feel like we are all these puzzle pieces. You carry energy other people need. Other people carry energy you need. We all give in some ways, which is like the out part of the puzzle piece, and we all receive in some ways, which is like the in part of the puzzle piece. This is why collaboration is such a big, big theme right now. And so being willing to play and experiment and find those safe spaces where you can do it risk-free and be witnessed. This is the other thing about expression. It's like that old thing of, if a tree falls in the forest and nobody hears it, did it even fall? Or did it even make a sound? Whatever that thing is. You can think all you want, but if you don't express it, it's like it didn't happen. So let yourself express it. This is another thing we really focus on in the content membership, is to practice crafting these conversations. You can use our group to like get it out in a safe way, receive some feedback, tweak and adjust, and then be willing to share it in a more open and public setting when you feel ready to do so, right? So, so, so powerful. Yes, James is thinking about rejoining. You should absolutely rejoin, James. I would love that. Yeah, the conversation is giving me some anxiety. Okay, like let's just sit with that for a minute, right? I'm feeling that a lot of people, it's true, right? So like if you're feeling anxiety, let me sit with you for a minute. Hand on the heart, hand on the belly, holding yourself. Okay, let's take a breath together. Letting your lungs fully inflate and letting yourself fully sigh and exhale it out. Through the lens of numerology, what we understand about anxiety is it is stuck creativity. It is creative energy that wants to be expressed. It means there is something in your heart and soul, something in your being, some potential, a project, a message that wants out, right? And because it doesn't have an outlet, it expresses itself in like this like crunchy, contracted feeling. It needs a channel, right? And it can be a hobby, it can be play, it can be fun. But if that's feeling relevant to you, I would so encourage you. Of course, it depends on what your personal codes are, but there's a couple of pretty across the board recommendations. Number one, find a creative channel for your self expression, right? Find a way to allow that energy to be expressed and move out. Number two, find a way to move it out physically. So, movement in your body. This is not movement for exercise. This is movement to move stuck creativity out of your body. You might dance, you might walk, you might go lay against a tree, you might draw, you might just awkwardly move your body, whatever it is. But when we are experiencing anxiety, I'm not talking about anxiety in terms of like, mental illness, mental health, whatever. I'm more talking about when we go through bouts of it in life in general. Numerology shows us that it's stuck creative life force. So if you have stuck creative life force, hand on the heart, hand on the belly, like soul, body, what are you showing me? What do you want me to feel, to express, to know, to understand? And see if that starts to give you an avenue, right? To share. I think it's so, so important. Hello, hello. Yes, Anne-Marie loves the membership group. It's super powerful. Hello, Pamela. All right. I want to just end this off by saying that the end of March, we really cap it off with some karmic change. So if I could summarize this forecast in a couple of sentences, it would be find your people, find your community, let yourself be fully expressed. Say what is in your heart to say as led by your intuitive knowing. Let things let the chips fall where they may, right? If that ruffles some feathers, so be it, right? Knowing what your responsibility is, which is to your center, your code, your core, your truth. Find your people, let them see and love you, follow your intuition, grow that, be fully expressed. That's my core message for the month of March. I would love to hear how this is landing with you, how you guys are going to take action on this. Maybe just comment in the chat and let me know, what is the one thing that hit you today where you're like, I am taking that piece home with me, right? I'm taking that piece home with me. One of the things that comes up for me over and over and over again is the concept of connection versus isolation. This is going to be huge in March because of the two energy, right? We are not meant to live as separate, isolated beings. We are meant to find our community and love them and be loved by them and regulate with them and connect and support and be supported. And we only get to have that if we're willing to step into it. It does not happen passively. It will not happen to you. It will happen when you choose it. It will happen when you're the person to reach out, when you're the person to ask for help, right? This is so, so key this March. So I'm excited because I'm like, I want to take this opportunity to recode some of that. Like I'm welcoming those recodings. And if you're feeling the discomfort of it, even maybe some of the conversation we had at the beginning of like that affirmation of like, that's because I'm in change. I'm uncomfortable because I'm changing. So I can resist the change or embrace the change, can accept the discomfort or ignore it. But if I acknowledge what's happening, it might open something up in me, right? And it might change me from like full on fist clenched walls up to, okay, like maybe I can open and soften and see what magic wants to unfold, because there's going to be so much magic in community and connection and intuition this month. All right, sending you guys so much love. I cannot wait to hear what your number one takeaways are. And I look forward to chatting with you again soon. Mwah. Bye, everyone.